Looking ahead at the 2020 Vikings season, the GMG pregame show. Vikings 2020 season. Looking ahead, this is the GMG pregame show. We'll quickly recap over what happened in the offseason and then look at the schedule. How do you think the team's going to fare? It's Dave here from Good Morning Gjallarhorn, and I have the Drewster, Drew Bunting. And
hey, what's up, lunatic?
Hey, it's been a long time. We are back out of the summer and COVID doldrums. We are moving into our regular season schedule. And for those that don't know, on Climbing the Pocket Network, GMG does your normal pregame show that will be released usually on Saturday mornings to give you all weekend to prepare up until the game. And then after the game, we go live for In the Raw. And this show, this episode, is our first pregame show. However, since we are not going to talk directly about that team from Wisconsin, we'll save that for next week. We'll be talking about the season as a whole. I also want to introduce you, those that don't know, to Rhino, Mr. Ryan Johnson from up in the area, North Dakota, Fargo to be exact. He'll be joining us this season to talk about the Minnesota Vikings. He, along with a few other contributors, will be joining us as Ted sits on his tail and sits this one out. We miss you, Ted. We wish you were back, but we understand. Drink one for us, or at least I'll drink one for you, one or the other.
We miss you, Smitty. Come on back and join for a show or two.
Rhino, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing all right. We're sitting up here, like everybody else, just kind of surfing the COVID, and got some good news this week, though, that my Bison are actually going to play a football game this fall, so happy about that.
Woohoo.
October 3rd, we got a game. They're going to let 10,000 fans in to see it. So
against who? Who are you playing?
Central Arkansas.
Oh, come on!
Well, nobody else would schedule us. We tried to get Nebraska, and they wouldn't do it.
Damn cookies every year. I'm sick of the cupcakes, Rhino.
So am I, but that's all we can schedule is cupcakes because they just get the money, It's.
Did you end up winning it last year? Did the Bison win it all again?
Undefeated and won it, yep.
Oh, man, that is one impressive football team.
And you've got
8 of the last 9 years.
And you've got a quarterback over on the Bison that's worth watching, right?
Yep, they're the consensus around the country right now is he's either number 2 or number 3 off the board behind.
What?
Yep, he's between him and Fields for the number 2 or number 3 quarterback off the board. Trevor Lawrence will go first, of course, but then it's
is he
either,
better than Easton Stick?
Oh yeah, he's better.
Yeah?
In my mind, he's better than Carson Wentz.
Wow.
He's a lot better athlete than Wentz is.
So he could be on the Minnesota Vikings chart for quarterbacks next year on their punch list.
Absolutely. I mean, the guy had, between passing and running last year, had 42 touchdowns and 0 interceptions.
I heard they're going to go from that guy from YMBU, that 7th-round player that's playing for YMBU. You seen him?
Yeah, he's
Josh Knuckelstein.
He's got some talent there.
Yeah, YMBU, your mama's basement universe. Your mama's basement
Is
university.
that what you call Iowa?
That's who we're getting.
All right.
Let's get into some Vikings, baby.
Well, speaking of quarterbacks, let's start off with our very own Kirk Cousins, who was in the news this week on a month-old podcast that came up, and he was talking COVID. And then, of course, today he went in front of the cameras again and explained that it was his faith that caused him to say that. But what I found interesting in his conversation today is, or the one from a month ago, is he says in the locker room there's about half the guys that don't really care, and then about another half that are afraid of their shadows when it comes to COVID. Obviously, this is the COVID season. We've got COVID that's hit the country, as everybody knows. You weren't born under a rock yesterday, and it's going to be interesting. But so far, the NFL has, I think they only have one person on their COVID IR list right now, and that's it across the whole league. And you're talking, for each team, you're talking well over 200 personnel when you consider team rosters, staff, and everybody that's associated with the team that deals with it. That's a lot of people, and they are doing outstanding. How well do you think the NFL's doing so far?
Because all the strip clubs are closed.
That could be one reason.
Well, I think so far, you really can't complain. You know, they had that deal a week or so ago, whatever it was, where they had those 70 false positive tests that kind of threw everybody into a
77
total. Little bit of a crisis mode there. But honestly, it was probably a good thing that happened now before the season starts, because if it happened during the season, you'd be screwing up a ton of teams for no reason whatsoever.
Right, and they've already figured out if that happens again, they will instantly retest everybody, and they'll get those results back that day and be ready to go for a Sunday game.
We only had one guy opt out, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Pierce was the only guy, yeah.
Yep, Michael Pierce, our free agent acquisition to replace Linval Joseph, opted out. And he did for medical reasons because he has asthma, and I can understand that.
Sure wish it would have been the fifth string tight end or something. Kind of needed Pierce this year, but all the teams are going to be dealing with this problem. But right now they seem to have a pretty good handle on it league-wise,
which is good.
Keeping the infections down. We'll have to see if it carries into the season because, as you know, they are not doing the bubble thing. So it's a little bit tougher than what hockey and basketball are facing. Plus, they have bigger rosters than hockey and basketball.
Oh yeah, you're dealing with a lot more people.
Right.
Now
it sounds like they sat everybody down, Dave, and had more than one meeting with all the players and the personnel to say, "This is how you got to act when you leave this place." So.
Right, and they have, and they stress it every day. And the NFL's plans is basically the traveling team will travel. They'll travel in isolation. They'll go to their hotels. It'll be in isolation. Food and stuff will be delivered to them. They'll go to the game, play the game. They'll fly back in isolation, and they won't interact. Now, that's the start. That's when everything gets going. After that, what point does some young player, want to go out and celebrate, and it, gets bad then, but we'll see.
Or like that NBA guy a month ago or whatever that skipped out of the bubble to go pick up buffalo wings at the strip club or whatever the heck.
Well, there was one earlier in the preseason.
Yeah. I forget the guy's name, but wouldn't he play for the Heat or something like that? Or
well, I don't know about the NBA, but there was one that played for the Seahawks. A young rookie tried to sneak in his girlfriend.
That was a guy that dressed his girlfriend in Seahawks gear and tried to say she was part of the team. Yeah.
And
you know what?
they fired
I don't
him
see
the
the problem with that. Going to get the wings, that's a problem. Sneaking in a bunny? Come on, dude. Give the guy a break. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's all good now, but when it starts rolling along, and I said this in a post that I think we all agree on this is going to be all the head coaches and their staffs, not even the staff, the medical people, everybody in the franchise. This is going to be a tester. People. It's going to be a test for everybody. Everybody's
absolutely it is.
See who can come out of this,
hopefully they all will.
Many problems.
But getting back to Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is our obvious starter. He is a top 10-ish quarterback in the league. He was better than top 10 last year in his best season. Hopefully that should improve. We did lose Stefon Diggs, but we gained Justin Jefferson, a young rookie. However, it looks like Justin Jefferson will be wide receiver 3, at least to start, behind Bisi Johnson.
So what kind of season do you see Cousins having? He's, third year here. He's got to be more comfortable. So
I think he'll have a season similar to last year.
That would be my guess. Numbers wise, hope, probably, 3,700 yards, 25, 30 touchdowns, and hopefully under 10 picks, I would hope.
I was thinking a little over 4,000 yards, 4,250 somewhere.
Well,
but
I'd be okay with that too.
But I don't see a significant fall off, even with Justin Jefferson, and because I expect Irv Smith to step up and snag some more of those catches, as well as Bisi Johnson. And, of course, if Adam Thielen stays healthy, Adam Thielen will dominate and get the majority of everything.
Yeah, if they're sitting and waiting on Irv Smith again, I'm gonna have some rippage posts because it's time to unleash him a little more. You can't, I understand what they've done with Irv Smith up to this point, but you got to start using him more. Now it's time.
Yeah,
I expect a breakout year from him. So.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If we get to week 8 and he has 7 catches, I'm not going to be happy.
No, and he had almost, I think it was 1 fewer catches than Rudy last year.
We have a
tendency we didn't use Rudolph like we should have last year too, up until toward the end of the year.
Well, and I think Rudy's going to be the safety blanket in the red zone, and I think you're going to see Irv Smith more between the 20s.
You can win with Cousins if you build the right system around him. You can win with him. I mean, yes, I've talked about his flaws. You've talked about his flaws. We've ripped him, but he may not be the best quarterback in the league, but he's certainly not the worst either.
Oh, he's very, very talented.
You give him time. The thing with Kirk Cousins is he's a great play action quarterback. I think you got to really go to his strengths. You got to. Some of those play action, he play action roll out and he hit Diggs on those long seams and get touchdowns like he did against the Broncos. You got to do that. I don't want to see the Vikings get a first down at the team's 17-yard line and start running it up the middle. I think they need to let it go a little bit more. I mean, Kirk Cousins proved last year he can limit his interceptions. He worked on that and he limited it. I think it's weird. We had a discussion about this last year with Ted, and when you get down in the red zone, you run the ball 3 times and everybody boos Cousins off the field. He's not calling those plays, guys. Those are the plays that are sent. Yell at Stefanski. He's the one sending in the fucking things. So I think you need to take the gloves off him a little bit and use him more in the play action. Is there a better play action quarterback in the league besides maybe Russell Wilson? I mean,
I believe
Kirk is right. Kirk's right up there.
No, I believe
those are probably the top 2, right?
I would say so, yeah.
Let's use him to the strengths that he does. Let's use him,
And I know
we can win with Cousins.
I know you guys don't like PFF, but PFF ranked him the number 1 play action quarterback in the league last year.
Okay.
Anyways, now
you know how Drew and I feel about PFF.
I know, that's why I stuck it.
At least we got Cousins coming back. I mean, I know he catches a lot of heat. He does for me too, but you know what? In that Saints playoff game, he came out in overtime and never gave the Saints the ball back.
Right.
That guy was fucking money.
Yes.
And I think deep down, if you pulled Kirk Cousins aside and had a beer with him in his house during a barbecue, I think he'd say, you know what, Dave and Rhino and Drew, I want to play like that all the time, like I played in that overtime. That's how I want to be all the time. And he can't, for some reason, he hasn't done it in his career, but I know he wants to play like that consistently. He wants to play like that because the next week in San Francisco it kind of fell apart again. But I don't know. I think we can win with Cousins. I'm just worried about the offensive line, and I'll let you guys segue right into that.
Well, hopefully Cousins stays healthy. He has his entire career, and if he stays healthy this year, we're all right.
That's what scares me is if Cousins goes down either gets hurt because
then your boy goes in there. Your boy Sean Mannion. You love him.
Manwich time.
Anyway.
Yeah. We don't have much of a shot without Cousins, so hopefully he can stay upright.
But yes, Drew, like you said, one of the keys is the offensive line.
Please tell me what's going on with the O-line. You guys have been keeping really close tabs on that this week. Tell me. Give me a starting offensive line.
Here's where we need to key the musical chairs music. Because it's been crazy.
Earlier.
Yeah. Okay. Now, are we official that Reiff is staying, or is he moving to Cleveland or New Zealand or wherever the hell he's
staying? I believe Reiff is staying, and I believe they're going to use him at left tackle as of right now. But
yeah, I heard they're moving him to fullback. But okay, yeah.
You guys can run me down the whole offensive lines. I'll jot it down. Look, always have my notes. You guys don't have notes, do you?
I've got my notebook.
I fucking told you to be prepared for this.
Brand new one for this season.
Oh, you got a new one?
Yeah, because last season, every single page is filled with Vikings notes.
That is, what do they say? Dope. That's good.
So
give me I'm going to write all the Dave Stefano picks down, and then the Rhino Johnson picks down for the entire offensive line. That's Dave, and then we'll do Ryan right here. Left tackle, left guard, center, right guard, right tackle. Then we'll revisit these next week for our pregame show.
All right. Well, I guess the way it looks to me, now that Reiff is staying, he'll be a left tackle.
Right.
Left guard, against my better judgment, is Dakota Dozier, which, yeah, I'm about as excited as a root canal. But Bradbury center, right guard's Elflein, and O'Neal is right tackle.
Is that what you got, Dave? Pretty close?
yes, that's exactly what I have, and I don't like it.
Okay. What don't you like? What do you want to change there?
I think Dozier's going to kill us. Elflein hopefully gets a step better. Elflein's a great run blocker. He was top 10 run blocker, but he was next to the bottom pass blocking that killed him. Hopefully on the right side, he's better. Hopefully, 2 seasons, full seasons out. This will be his third from the injury. He's better. It's just, it's disappointing. We went into the camps hoping Dru Samia, who, has attitude, would take that right guard spot. We're left guard. We didn't know who exactly, is written on Daily Norseman. Assembly would have been nice if we had him there, but no. And then we drafted Ezra Cleveland, who's been a personal disappointment because I wanted him out at tackle. For some reason, the Vikings think he should play at left guard, but he can't get past Dozier or
Aviante
Collins, who've been battling for it. Neither one of them has stood out in camp. It's like, who's the best of the worst? And to me, it's sad. I expect Bradbury to take a next step, but he's going to have a lot of work to do because he's going to have to beef up both his sides, both Elflein on the right and Dozier on the left. Hopefully that won't happen. And then, of course, we have Riley Reiff at left tackle, who's an adequate left tackle. He was, at the beginning of the week, we'd learned that the Vikings, in a shrewd move, told him, you're going to take a pay cut and restructure, or we're cutting you. And he told everybody, I'm going to see you. And then at the last minute, after his agent called around saying, hey, anybody want to trade for him, pick up his $11 million salary, they laughed and said no. He took the pay cut, which is estimated to be somewhere between $4 and $5 million total for the season, and he's back there.
So what you're telling me is we are going into 2020 with the same offensive line questions we had when Teddy was here, going into those seasons.
Yes.
Yeah.
And why is it the same question every year? Why?
That's a good question.
Well, part of it is, and I touched on this, on the page earlier this week. I think part of the problem is you're playing musical chairs with all these guys. Oh, we're going to play this guy over here, and now we're going to switch everything around, go the other way again. You don't it's not like part of the defense is like Zimmer likes to move his guys around on defense. When you play on the offensive line, you're going to be better at one position than another one. A left tackle can't, or a right tackle can't always play left tackle. Guards back and forth, so on and so forth, And
some can, some
that's
can't.
The problem with, and I kind of understand what they're doing. They're trying to find the 5 best players and put them on the field. But it may not be the 5 best players at those positions. Somebody who's a good right guard might be a crappy left guard, or vice versa, or center playing guard and all this, that, and everything else. And
Sounds sketchy to me, man. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but
and how many offensive line coaches have we gone through? This is one of those things that
one a year, pretty much. I think this is the first year under Zimmer. I think that we've had the same offensive line coach for 2 years in a row.
And it's one of those things. Why, since Zimmer took over in 2014, why hasn't this been locked down? Why is there so much change?
It's a great
on
question.
This one set of positions on the O-line. Why can't they get, when he came in, he thought he had a good O-line, and on paper he did. And then suddenly the injuries start and everything else starts, and then it goes all to hell. And then by 2016, it just got blown up completely due to injuries. And it's never been solidified in any of the years. Now, they played well enough, obviously like 2017, to get to the playoffs, and last year to get to the playoffs. But there's never been a really good line or really good even people staying there for a while. We like O'Neal. Brian O'Neal, I think, is going to be an outstanding right tackle. I think they tipped their hand when they moved him over to left tackle. That may happen again next year. We don't know. I thought that's what Ezra Cleveland was for, but hey, what do I know? And he's an outstanding right tackle. He may be top 5 right tackle this season. But why can't they fix this? This to me, the trenches, right? You always hear you win the games in the trenches. Mike Zimmer has had Andre Patterson on the defensive side running that defensive line since day one, and it's been outstanding, right? But on that offensive side, either he or whoever he's taking advice from, they can't seem to lock it down for more than a season, to get the right personnel, right blocking, right run game coordinating, whatever, to do it. And I don't understand why. That's his Achilles heel.
Well, I think part of it might be, the defense is Zimmer's baby. We all know that. There's no secret in there. And, the offense, I think, is in Zimmer's mind is kind of an afterthought. But, and with what we've got right now, I mean, the way Cousins plays, I'm not as concerned about the tackles right now because, if you get pressure off one side, he can play action, roll out, and kind of take care of it. It's when that pressure comes up the middle and the pocket collapses on him that he has the problems and he ends up falling over and curling up in the fetal position as the tackles run.
Quarterback.
If
the offensive line you just named, Reiff, Dozier, Bradbury, Elflein, O'Neal, I wouldn't be the least bit worried if we had Russell Wilson running around back there. It wouldn't bother me because all you have to do is have a marginal offensive line. I am happy with what Mike Zimmer has done since 2014 with the defense. That guy has done the best 6-year stretch anybody can have as a coach in that amount of time. I think he's been top 10 every year he's been here. He knows the defense. Every guy he gets back there, he sets it up with the safeties and the corners. He runs his scheme, and certainly some people may have blueprinted what he's doing, but
he adapts and he changes it.
He's down 3 or 4 starters in that Saints playoff game on the defensive side. We're all expecting the worst, and the Vikings win the game. Mike Zimmer is a defensive genius, and I give him 5 gold stars. Offensively, I think he's lost offensively, and I think he's been relying on other people to figure it out. And it's unfair. It has to be that unbalanced, but he's leaning on people that have been letting him down. And I'm not saying, that's an excuse for Zimmer, but he hired DeFilippo. That was a waste. And I think I kind of expect Dennison and Kubiak to have built, even in 2 years, a little bit better line than what's going on right now. And I think they're responsible for that. I mean, that Zimmer turned it over to them. All right, I'll bring you guys in, build the offensive. Look what the Colts have done with Ryan Kelly, Quentin Nelson, and that kid from Auburn, Brandon Smith. They worked all those guys in one draft. I mean, you can do it. You can find guys. And I wish it's too bad that Zimmer didn't have the success on the offensive side as he would on the defensive side, because it would be – I love the way he runs the defense. Even the guy – and you know what? People say, well, Drew, there is a difference between addressing the offensive line and ignoring it. When you get a guy like Elflein, you expect that to be set.
You do.
And when it doesn't work out, it's not I mean, he hasn't worked out, but it wasn't for lack of trying to make it work. So I understand the difference that they have made efforts to make it better. When you get a guy and he doesn't work out, it makes it look like you're not addressing it.
Mm-hmm.
So
which that falls back more on the scouting department and Spielman than it does Zimmer and
particularly with the guards.
Yeah.
With forgetting his name, the Oklahoma guy, Dru
Samia.
Dru Samia. I mean, that's not looking good right now, man. That is not.
And I don't understand why, because he was so good in college, and that whole Oklahoma line was great in college.
Well, and that's all we heard coming up to the start of camp was, everybody was penciling him in at one of the guard spots to start.
Right.
And I don't
know
what happened.
He starting. I mean, what is he on, a 4-year developmental program?
Well,
look at O'Neal. O'Neal was in there like the 4th week he was a rookie.
But they didn't start him. He went in because of injury, and I suspect that Ezra Cleveland, that's the way he's going to get in as well. But
same problem with the offensive line. We don't feel set, like Rano said, it's a musical chairs to begin with, and it feels like it was 4 years ago.
But
damn it,
it was that way in 2017, and we made an NFC championship.
But the big difference there is Case Keenum was a mobile quarterback, and like Dru said with Russell Wilson, a mobile quarterback can cover a lot of deficiencies of a poor offensive line.
And we made the playoffs last year with real close to the same line.
Well, yeah, because you had Cook and Diggs and Thielen.
Right.
So,
I mean, those are 3 of the best weapons in football. If the Vikings had a road grading, pass blocking offensive line, I mean, we'd be
like the Vikings.
We'd be number 1 in NFC at least.
We'd be
the
Vikings back in the 70s.
Oh, we'd be rolling right now. It's always
and that's the thing, with the weapons and stuff we've got on offense, if we have enough time to let the plays develop and everything, this is going to be a dangerous friggin' offense.
Is Dakota Dozier the left guard because we have nobody else, or is he the left guard because he's talented?
The first.
I think probably A.
That's not good. That's not a good plan. No. That is not a good plan.
Yeah, he's the best of what we have for the time being, kind of a thing.
Where's Brett Jones? He started 14
games
for the
Jones
Giants.
Is the backup center.
And I'm still pretty sure that somewhere along the line he pissed Zimmer off, and the only thing that we just keep him on the roster just because we need a backup center.
He's a guard. He plays guard too.
I know he plays guard.
But if you look at it from Brett Jones' standpoint, the guy's making, even if it's league minimum, it's $750,000 to $1 million a year. And up until one day I was watching some highlight film from when they were filming training camp, and I actually saw some guy walking around with Jones on the back of his jersey. I thought it was like the Loch Ness Monster or Bigfoot or something. You hear rumors of his existence, but you never actually see it.
Is this a simple answer from each of you? Is this offensive line better than the one that walked off that field in Santa Clara against the Niners to end the season last year?
I'm going to say it's probably the same.
I'm thinking it's the same, but it's yet to be determined.
Yeah.
That is not a good answer.
But it's the right answer, and that's what.
No, it's the right answer, but it concerns me.
Right. Basically, that's what killed us against the Niners is that defense they got ran over our offensive line.
Wasn't it the press conference in February, the end of the year presser, when Zimmer said, somebody asked him flat out, what went wrong this year? And he said, our offensive line wasn't good enough.
Yep.
So that should have been all the eggs in that basket, Rhino. I shouldn't be hearing you say it's the same. After hearing the head coach in February say our offensive line wasn't playing well enough, I should not be hearing you say it's the same right now. I should not hear that.
No, but it's the same goddamn thing as we hear every time we lose. Zimmer comes out and says we need to play better.
He specifically said the offensive line. He called them out.
I know he did. I watched that press conference.
This team should be better on the offensive line going into this season after he said that.
And we drafted Ezra Cleveland in the 2nd round, and he's now sitting as a 3rd-string guard.
Are they waiting for 2021?
I'm actually glad that right the way things are sitting right now that we re-signed or got Reiff to stick around because at least he's a serviceable left tackle.
I think so too.
For the season,
if we would have started moving people around, yeah, he'll be gone after this year. But if we'd have started
But
no, we just started moving people around, and I heard something on the radio on Monday when they were talking about the fact that Reiff might not be gone or might be gone. They said, other than Bradbury, if they had switched it around, put O'Neal to left tackle and either bringing in Oliudo into right tackle or whatever.
Rashod Hill at right tackle.
Right. For the starting lineup that of the 4 guys, not counting Bradbury, there would have been 4 starts among the group at the positions and what they were going to be playing.
That's eye-opening.
And one of them was Oliudo starting that game against Chicago at the end of last year that didn't make that.
That was Oliudo. If Oliudo did, and then Rashod Hill was the one that was talked up. Even though I like the future of Oliudo. That guy looks like he's going to be very good. As Zimmer said, he's just got a few things to clean up. He's got extraordinarily long arms, and he's good at what he does. Now,
so the future for the O-line is looking better than 2020, which is a good thing. Never wrong with looking into the future, making your team better. But I just want to maybe we'll be pleasantly surprised with the O-line going into the next couple of weeks.
Now, let's look at the schedule. We have the schedule going into 2020 since we're talking about.
See, we don't even have to talk about the defense. That's how good Zimmer has. He has that defense ready to rock.
The defense is ready to rock. Now, we will hit Ngakoue here in a bit, and how that goes. But let's talk about the schedule real quick. We open up against that team from Wisconsin next Sunday.
That
right?
is
the
huge
13th.
Opener. Huge!
Now, it's disappointing that there will be no fans in the stands. Unfortunately, but Kirk Cousins had made a remark earlier a few weeks ago that, it's okay playing with nobody there. It'd be like a practice. Hopefully, everything goes well. And we do know from prior experience, Aaron Rodgers has a harder time playing in U.S. Bank.
I want to throw this out there, and I'll let you guys chew on the. I know we're going to talk about that team from Wisconsin next week, but this has got to be a game that's weighing on Zimmer's mind.
He's got to be planning for it already.
Not only do we lose to him twice, that second time they came into our house, they embarrassed us.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You don't want your right. They came in, they pushed us around, they embarrassed us. That defensive end, I think, had 31 sacks in one game. Smith.
Yeah.
They couldn't block him. They not only beat us, they ran over us and laughed at us. So that's got to be in Zimmer's mind, thinking. He's already mad losing to the rival, but one thing losing to him on the road, but they came in here and whipped our ass. So Zimmer has to be on his mind. He has to remind his team. And I'm glad we're doing it week 1. Let's jump right into the bloody fight and get this shit going.
Mm-hmm.
So I just hope Zimmer's got that gears going. Hope he has a little bit more snarl for this one, because that game bugged the shit out of me, guys. It did. It felt like they were laughing at it. So I'll throw it back to you guys, but I wanted to say that piece. It has to be big in Zimmer's mind. What a great opener, isn't it? What a great way to open.
Oh, absolutely.
And then we go off to the Colts, Indianapolis, with Phillip Rivers, the ever-aging one, at quarterback. Any ideas how that's going to go? I think Rivers is going to have a bit of a one-year resurgence here, because this is the first time in forever that he's got an offensive line. And kind of the problem that, plagues us with a quarterback that's not overly mobile and a bad offensive line is what's been hurting Rivers the last couple of years, because, he runs around like he's got cement glued to his feet, But no, if he's got an offensive line, and the Colts have weapons. They got a good running back, and they got some receivers. I think Rivers is going to have a pretty good year over there.
I would agree.
And their defense is legit, too.
It is very legit. The one thing I'll say is Mike Zimmer has caused Phillip Rivers a lot of anguish.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. What was it? Seven turnovers last year?
And even before that, I remember he's come to Minnesota a couple times, and we've shut him down and picked him off, and I think we've done really well. I guess Rivers gets – some teams you have that frustration. I think the Vikings are that for Phillip Rivers, but I agree with everything you said, right? I expect Rivers to have a really, really good season, because he's got a real team around him now and a real coach. So.
And you mentioned Zimmer having his number. Flip Bisi commented on that in some of the run-up shows, that Zimmer tends to have a few quarterbacks that their number. And
Russell Wilson.
Well, Russell Wilson's
Oh,
beat
yeah.
us.
Look at Russell Wilson.
Comparatively versus Russell versus everybody else versus us, yeah.
The problem is Zimmer puts too much effort into Russell Wilson, and they run for 230 on us every time we play him.
Well, and Drew Brees is another. But
yeah,
that's going to be tough road because I like Rhino. Indy's going to have a different face on this year, dude. They're going to be good.
All right.
And they got that kid. They got Jonathan Taylor, the rookie running back from Wisconsin. I think T.Y. Hilton's going to be better. I think everybody's going to be better because of Rivers, but the offensive line is the difference, Rhino said. That's the difference. He's going to have a pretty good – that's going to be a tough game to win.
Then we're back home against the Titans, the Tannehill Titans. Do you think Tannehill's late blooming performance last year, where he was outstanding, was a fluke, or do you think he can sustain that? And late bloomer like Rich Gannon, Vikings fame, where he was okay when he played for us, then went off and got good and won a Super Bowl.
It's hard to say. I mean, last year, they relied a lot on Travis Henry. Mm-hmm. Now, I mean, he just got himself a fat new contract and everything else, but he's another one of those ones that's getting a little longer in the tooth. And we see a lot of running backs, they can be lights out, then get that big contract, and then
fall off
after that, they fall off. They turn into the husk of David Johnson or Todd Gurley with his arthritic knees or Le'Veon Bell.
You know what?
God knows what the hell happened with Le'Veon Bell. But
let me throw this out there about the Titans. Mike Vrabel has coached that team for 2 seasons.
Uh-huh.
Mike Vrabel has coached in 3 playoff games in 2 seasons.
Wow.
How many has Zimmer coached in 6?
3.
Yeah.
No.
And look at his quarterback. Look at the quarterbacks Vrabel's had. Mariota and Tannehill. And he's made 3 playoff games. That guy knows how to coach. He's a great head coach. That game could go either way. I'm never going to look past Tennessee as long as Vrabel's running the show over there.
And I mean, Vrabel hands down.
Zimmer has 5 playoff games in 6 seasons. And Vrabel has coached 2 seasons and has been to 3. So he's doing – and he hasn't had the spectacular quarterback either. He's had a scrub. So
but
Vrabel, that game could go either way.
Yeah, Vrabel far and away is the best coach to come out of the Belichick tree.
Mm-hmm.
You think with Tannehill that gives us an edge and being at home? That's in Minnesota, you said, right?
Yeah, but Tannehill literally was the number 1 quarterback last year.
They lost to 2 backup quarterbacks last year. So you can't really say Tannehill's weaker. I mean, the Vikings can't seem to beat the backup quarterbacks, and he's the starter. So that's going to be a hell of a football. Those 3 games right there, those are all going to be hell of good games.
Yeah, but it doesn't get any easier. The week after that, we go down to Houston and face Deshaun Watson.
But unless Bill O'Brien trades him for a bag of Cheetos and a
which could happen.
half-drink Coke by then.
I think we're gonna run the gate on Houston. I think we're gonna blow them out. To be honest with you.
Okay.
We match up well against Houston.
And then after that, guess what? Then it's the Sunday night game out in Seattle.
We're not gonna win that. We know.
When we go to Seattle in primetime for the 43rd year in a row.
Right. And
does anybody feel good about winning that game in Seattle?
Hey, the only blessing is it may be an empty stadium.
Yeah, it is.
Well, hold it. Does that stop the run? They're 217 yards 2 years ago, 222 yards last year. Why did Zimmer let him run all over him again?
Yeah,
Why?
but it might be quiet. It might not pump up the Seahawks.
Well, and that's the thing. They won't have their 12th man this year. Washington has already said the state of Washington is not going to let them have fans. So 200 plus.
If they get 200 plus, I'm going to kick Zimmer's ass. If the Seahawks run for 200 plus for a 3rd year in a row, that's it.
And something to think about there. Those 200 plus. We had Linval Joseph at nose tackle. This year we got Shamar Stefan and Jaleel Johnson.
It's obvious how Pete Carroll wants to beat you, and he did it again last year. And Zimmer had to have known Carroll was going to use the running game. He had to have known that, dude. Maybe he just couldn't stop him.
And then we're back home against the Falcons, and there's a team that Zimmer seems to have owned since he's been here.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Teddy ran up a 50-burger on the Falcons, didn't he?
Back or close or something. Yeah, it was bad, and we beat them bad last year too.
I don't think we've ever lost to him with Zimmer. Have we?
No, I don't think so.
We won a close one on a field goal, I think, in Atlanta a few years back. But out of those 5, David, that's the real only one. That one and the Houston one, I feel really good about. We could easily be 2-3 coming out of those 5. How do you guys see those 5 playing out?
Well, there were 6 games there, but okay.
Oh, there was?
Yeah, you forgot the first one.
Oh, we're winning that game.
Okay, so we're 3-3. Who knows? I can see it.
3-3.
I can see us winning them all. I can see us going 5-1. I can see us going 3-3.
Honestly, the first half of our season is the hardest part of it. I mean,
if we go 6, those 6 games, Rhino. What do you think? Give me a 4-2, 3-3, 0-6.
I mean, I think we can. If we come out of there 4-2, I think we're doing pretty damn good.
I would be on the 4-2 wagon with. I would feel good about it with those 6 teams.
Yeah, because like I said, I was saying, the first half of our season is the tougher part, so we can come out of that first half, above 500, whether it's 6-2, 5-3, whatever. I think the second half, looks a little better for us, so we can be able to make a run.
A game, the 2 games after. I mean, we only played 1 divisional game the first half of the season. That's weird.
Or before the bye. We're not at week 8 yet.
Right.
That's only 6 weeks. Yes, we only play 1 divisional game, and it's against that team from Wisconsin.
The seasons are set up. It's set up this way, though. I think when they did the schedule, this is my opinion anyway. When they did the schedule, they put those non-conference games in, so in case there was a
delayed
shutdown
start
or whatever, or delayed start, you could take the non-conference games out and still play your conference and all that other stuff.
That I would vote for. That makes sense.
Okay.
I think you're onto something.
All right, week 7 of the NFL season, we'll still have a show, even though it's going to be the bye week, and we'll have special festivities for that week. Then comes week 8.
Dave's going to drink shooters on air. There's your festivities.
Then comes week 8.
Right, woohoo!
And we still haven't seen Chicago, and we haven't seen Detroit. But in week 8, we go up to Lambeau Field to hopefully put a nail in the coffin that Aaron Rodgers is still washed.
Well,
and maybe by that
honestly,
time, there may be fans.
Yeah. Or maybe Jordan Love, because Rodgers ends up in deep Ngakoue the first game and gets taken out by Hunter and Ngakoue meeting him at the center there.
Could be.
That game right there going up to Lambeau adds pressure back to week 1.
Uh-huh.
If Zimmer shits his pants in that game, that's triple the amount of pressure going to Lambeau, because it'll be 0-4 if he loses these 2 games against LaFleur.
I think 0-5, something like that. Yeah. Anyways, and
they
then
lost 3 straight. I think. Yeah.
Okay.
When's the last time we won there? A few years ago. I mean,
2 years ago.
We beat.
We tied
them
them
here.
There was the tie
2 years ago.
Yeah, it's 5-6 5-6-1 is his record against.
So we have a bye week 7, and then we go to Wisconsin.
Yep, and then we come home and play the Lions.
Stinky ass.
Right, and there's another quarterback that Mike Zimmer seems to have defeated. However, the Lions is one of those questionable deals. Are they any good? They look decent on paper, but they've got a coach that screws it up, and they always tend to implode. Except for 1 year, a decade.
Every year, people say the Lions, this is the year they turn it around, and then by week 8, they're 2-6 or whatever.
Detroit is Detroit until they prove otherwise.
Right.
There you go.
And after Detroit, we're still in the division. We go off to Soldier Field to play the Bears. Soldier Field has been a nightmare the last 2 years.
The Bears have been a nightmare the last 2 years.
They have, and there's no reason why the Vikings shouldn't have been able to beat them. They've had an outstanding defense, and that's caused us problems. I think that's gotten weaker. And then this year, the Bears' issue is who's going to be starting at quarterback, because we know they have Mitch Trubisky, but they also have Nick Foles, and supposedly, I think it's Monday, next Monday. You'll see this on Saturday, and hopefully it's the Monday after. I think the Bears coach is going to announce who his starter is. We'll see. They both caused those problems, even though they're both.
I'm kind of liking this last 3-week stretch more than I am the beginning stretch of the season. I kind of like I mean, Detroit and then going to Soldier Field, I could see us easily rolling those 2 games after we beat that team from Wisconsin. So who do we have after that?
Well, it's after that we go. We don't go. It's back home against the Dallas Cowboys.
Fuck.
I think they're going to be fine. We beat them last year in Dallas. This year they're coming up. Dallas is going to be good. Dallas will be one of the competitors.
Yeah, I think
NFC.
McCarthy going in there is going to make a big difference after Captain Clapp when he left.
Right,
so.
and that'll be the return of Everson Griffin back to the stadium. So
we're going to miss Captain Clapp, aren't we? Yeah, that's going to be
that was a close.
I mean,
one.
we could beat them, but that could easily
go.
I mean, that's a mistake game. Whoever fumbles more is going to lose that game.
You probably nailed it. After that, it's the Teddy game. Teddy comes up to Minnesota. We play the Panthers.
We're gonna fucking clean their house, dude. We're gonna kick.
We
their
should.
ass.
The Jaguars have issues, or the Panthers.
The only thing they have basically is Christian McCaffrey.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They're still rebuilding, but you know what? That's an exact type of scenario right there. The Vikings lose those games.
Right.
They lose.
Now speaking,
they'll come up. They'll beat Dallas. They'll all be high, having parties on the Love Boat. Carolina comes in and beats you by 20, like the Bills did in Week 2 a few years ago.
Yeah,
Vikings. I mean, that could be a trap game, and Teddy. Half the fan base is going to be rooting for him anyway.
Well, he's going to get a great reception when he comes in. You know that.
If we have fans.
Yeah,
maybe
if we have fans.
You and his mom, but not from me.
And then I was looking ahead. Then comes the most dysfunctional team next to the Bears. Or the Browns, pardon me, not the Bears, the Browns. The Jaguars.
When do we get to play Rutgers? Fuck, dude.
We basically are with Jacksonville.
And Jacksonville, thank you very much for giving us in trade Yannick Ngakoue.
They got to win that game. Ngakoue got to win that game.
Pass rushing.
I think Ngakoue is going to have a big game in that one because he's going to be a little extra motivated to go out and kick some ass.
Oh, you know he will be. And to me,
is that game at home or in Jacksonville?
No, it's at U.S. Bank.
I think we should try to outdo our 50-10 performance with Dwayne Rudd that year we played him on Sunday Night Football.
I'm all for that. And
do that.
Now,
I like that. We can win those games.
Let's talk about because of this game, Yannick Ngakoue. I think I got
that's right. Ngakoue.
It's going to take a while to get that name.
Yannick.
Yannick's the easy part. Traded here to the Vikings for a second-round pick and a conditional 5th. The 5th can go up as high as a 3rd, and by all means, let it go to a 3rd.
Because that means we won the Super Bowl.
Because we won the Super Bowl. The conditions are it's a 5th next year. If he becomes a Pro Bowl player this season, it becomes a 4th-round pick. If we win the Super Bowl, it's a 3rd-round pick. Hopefully, it's a 3rd-round pick that we have to give up in 2021 for him.
That guy is a 1st-round talent. I'm really shocked we didn't have to trade a 1st-round pick.
Oh, and I mean, look, we gave up more to get Jared Allen from Kansas City than we did to get Ngakoue from Jacksonville.
All right,
I mean, we get that pass rush specialist, great player, and we get to keep our 1st-round pick next year.
Yes,
I think that's a win in itself, right
now.
there.
You talk about Jared Allen. That's who he reminds me of. He's a pass rush specialist. His defensive run grades
he's not
great.
He's not the best run defender.
But he's a disruptor, and he is a pass rush specialist. Now, listen to some numbers. There's only, I think, 1 or 2 defenders that beat these numbers. In 4 years. He's been in the league 4 years. He's 25 years old. He's like a month and a half younger than Danielle Hunter. 4 years. 244 pressures on a quarterback. 67 tackles for a loss. He's had 40 sacks. He averages double digit. He's had 3 of the years, it was 8 sacks each, and 1 year it was, I think it was 12. But 40 sacks total. So he's averaging double digit sacks. Like I said, 67 tackles for loss and 14 forced fumbles. what he is known for is the strip
Wow.
sack.
That's impressive.
In 4 years,
14?
he is ranked, I think, 3rd or 4th in the league in generating turnovers.
Well, was it 2 years ago? He had 7 of them, didn't he?
Yeah. And it's just, and he had like 3 or 4 in one game. It's just, he gets so hot and he knows what he's doing. He usually lines up in a wide 9. Everson did that quite a bit too, where you're further out from the tackle. And he's a speed and a disruptor guy. Where his weaknesses against the run, well, now he's made it up with the best defensive line coach in the business.
Bill Zimmer puts him on the inside and ruins everything.
Well, let's talk about that real quick before we go on to the next game.
He's a defensive end. If he moves him in there, he's a fool.
Well, you got to remember, during the Saints game, we moved Everson and Danielle into the inside. They called that the NASCAR package, right? Especially on passing downs. Well, now, since we have Yannick, Ifeadi Odenigbo, who was assumed to be the starter, is now going to be moved into the 3 technique.
That's fine.
Which is fine because he got a good chunk of his sacks last year from that position.
He's used to playing on there.
So we're going to have 3 proven pass rushers on that defensive line on passing downs. So from last year, we're either equal or better than we were last year. And
I think it'll be better.
And that's all. Thank you to the Jaguars. Thank you very much. You'll come into town, and it hopefully will be a 50 to whatever.
We'll sack that mustache right off of Gardner Minshew.
That you gotta give a little shout out to Rick on that one for pulling the trigger on that. I think the Vikings talked about it and were quick to make a decision on it because I think they're really worried about the defensive end spot, and they know in Zimmer's. Ever since he got here, he likes that pressure.
He likes the pressure, and that pressure.
I think he thought, Hunter's fine, but we're not getting the we need pressure from both sides.
Yeah.
I think Zimmer brought it up, and I think he pushed the card on that for Rick to make that happen. And the fact that we didn't have to give up a first-round pick, I think it's a good move all the way around. It gives us on paper, 2 of the best defensive ends in football, which can only help the secondary of those young corners.
And I was about to say, you got that right.
I've watched Everson, Griffin, and Hunter run that Zimmer pressure scheme on the outside, not only rushing the quarterback, running down those screen passes. Mm-hmm. I mean, those guys, I think Zimmer said I think Zimmer probably said we're in a world of shit unless we get somebody. And instead of just getting somebody like they normally do, some, middle of the road guy, they went out and got super talented guys. So credit to Rick on that for showing that 2020 still matters. And it was a great move. And I'm looking forward to watching that guy off the edge. And I think he's going to be a big difference maker and he's going to fit right in as well. I think that, I was really worried about the defense guys back a little bit after the draft, maybe May. I thought it was going to be a step back. And now I'm saying it's either going to be the same or a step forward. I have a completely different outlook on that defense. I like what Dantzler's doing this last, getting Ngakoue and Troy Dye. I think he's going to fit in over there. I think that we got 2 of the best safeties in football working side by side. I'm excited about the defense a lot more. I've done a full 360 from about 3 months ago on the defense. I feel good about it. I do. I feel really good about it.
Okay. And let's finish this up. We got 4 games to go. Our next one, we hit the road, and we go down to Tampa Bay to play Tom Brady and the Buccaneers.
Could go either way. All these games could go either way.
I mean, a lot of it, depends. Is this the year that Brady
falls off the cliff? I mean, is Brady going to go down there and be 09 Brett Favre, or is he going to be 2010 Brett Favre kind of a thing? Yeah, and we don't.
It could go either way.
And he's got
the offensive weapons he's got down there. I mean, the Mike Evans and I forget what their other wide receiver is.
And they got Gronk back.
Yeah,
no,
Godwin.
it's a
Chris Godwin. Yeah, Chris Godwin. Yeah, that's what I'm
It's
thinking.
a super talented team.
Absolutely, and Arians knows how to run an offense.
Okay,
we could easily end up on the shit end of that one.
Now,
yeah, that's what That game worries me a little bit.
Now
Me too.
we come back home, and it's versus the Bears in our stadium on December 20th. And then we have the Christmas afternoon game.
Is that on Christmas?
On Christmas, December 25th.
Oh, decent.
Afternoon game, the whole nation will be watching.
Who's that against?
New Orleans. In New Orleans.
Fuck. They're going to be mad.
But
We have kicked their ass the last few times.
I think
they
it's,
won once.
Yeah, I think it's
We've
they've won
destroyed
once,
their
but we
hopes.
beat them like 5 times. Yeah.
That fan base has to hate us after the miracle, and then last year they have to hate us.
And I was having a discussion with somebody the other day, and they said for as bad as Vikings fans still hate New Orleans for 2009, they said New Orleans fans hate us worse for knocking them out of the playoffs the last 2 years.
Yeah. So,
I'm not feeling good about that game. It's going down to New Orleans on Christmas.
and then we do our last game on the road in Detroit. And that's
Which
your
should
Will
be
that- Will we have the division wrapped up by then, or are we going to be fighting
I hope so.
for a playoff spot?
I hope we have the division wrapped up.
Wow, that's I don't know, 9-7 schedule right now, 10-6. I don't know.
That's
It's hard to-
conservative.
Games.
when the schedule first came out, I said 10-6. So I mean, it could be 11-5, it could be 8-8. I mean, it all depends. We all know how this stuff works. There's inevitably a game during the season where we're going to shit the bed that we should have.
Right.
We should roll somebody and they come in and kick
It's
our
the
ass.
NFL, dude. Anybody can beat anybody.
Yep.
I mean,
Right.
And being the COVID year, it's going to be even more unpredictable.
They can't keep losing division games to these guys though. They can't. The
No.
Vikings have got to turn 0-4. I mean, they got to turn that around.
We have to at the very least go 500 against both the team from Wisconsin and the Bears this year.
Well,
What
Dave
did I
Stefano
call?
called for the sweep.
I know you've been calling for the sweep, Dave. I know that, but I'm just saying I'll take the sweep any day of the week. But I mean, we have to at least go 500 against those.
He might have had a blood alcohol counter 2.0 too when he called that. I don't know.
Hey, no, I still believe it. We're going to sweep.
6-0. So what? 6-0 in the division.
I'll take that any
I'll
day.
take that any
If
day.
we're 6-0 in the division, we're winning the division.
We're winning.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely, we are.
And we're winning at least 10 games at that point.
Yep.
So, with that, let's wrap this show up. Everybody, thank you for joining Good Morning Gjallarhorn. Meeting Rhino, if you haven't already. Of course, Drew Bunting.
Rhino brings is the professional on this show now. I just follow his lead.
No, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. So.
He's good. He's good. Both of you guys are good. You shower him with knowledge. You give me a lot to think about. So that's good. Thank you.
Any last words, Rhino?
We're almost
here.
Football is almost here. I know a lot of people are saying that they're not as excited for this.
They're liars. Liars.
Screw that. It's football. We're going to be playing in a week against that damn team from Wisconsin. We're going to take Aaron Rodgers. We're going to bust him in half, and we're going to go on. We're going to win the division. Super Bowl 2020, homeboy.
There we go. Ted, did you hear that? That's a little shout out to Smitty. Smitty, what do you think about that? Or we hurt Rodgers and that Love guy comes in and throws 6 TDs.
Oh,
That's also possible.
That's the Vikings' luck right there. No, anybody who says they're not, I'm not fired up for the season, you know what? Let them say that. But we're all football fans. We wait for this day. COVID, no fans, whatever. We're ready to go. I'm ready to watch some football.
all right, with that, we want to say goodbye. You have a good, safe week. Enjoy and skol, everybody!
Meow, meow, Viking cow.
You guys.
Thank you for watching or listening. As always, if you like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. And if you're listening to the podcast, please rate us on your favorite aggregator. Skol, everybody!